David Barry, Jewish Online Magazine. I have proud pleasure in introducing the highlights of the Britain and Israel Olympic plaque ceremony, which was held in the London Borough of Hackney on the 22nd of July 2012.
Welcome to everybody. Councillor Kelly, who you met, and has been my colleague all along in this journey we've taken, welcome you to this sad but significant event, the unveiling of the plaque of remembrance to the Israeli athletes murdered at Munich in 1972 by Palestinian terrorists, 40 years ago in September.
Welcome. My name is Councillor Kelly. Together with Mr. Sugarman, we arranged this with the help of a very generous donor who's sitting in the front seat over there. But anyway, I'll thank him later on. I need to make some welcomes first. I'd like to first welcome Deputy Lieutenant Colonel Roderick Morris and his wife Suzanne, who is a representative of the Queen in Hackney. Thank you very much for coming. I'd like to welcome Mr. Eric Pickles, who is our Cabinet Member for Communities and Local Government. Thank you from the beginning. Of course, Mayor Boris Johnson, who has been a staunch supporter of what we're doing over here, right from the first minute that we started this. I'd like to thank Mr. Zinger, who is here as well, and Reverend Greenblatt, who's from the Chief Rabbi's Office, Ben Hefker, who is a survivor and an Olympian, who has come all the way from Israel to be here, and also Yossi Romano, who is a family member of one of the murdered athletes in Munich. And last but not least, who's a rose between these crown, is Reverend Rosemina Brown from the St. James's Church in Hackney, who is a very, very good friend of the community and a staunch campaigner and does a lot in Hackney. So thank you very much for being here. And Mr. Zinger. Okay. Michael from the embassy, please, and Carly and Vivian is here as well. They're going to be representing the embassy, and Michael will be speaking as well. So, Michael, your seats are just there. Okay. Right. I'm now going to introduce the choir from Simon Marks. I have a vested interest in this school because I am a foundation governor. This is a fantastic school. They've got a wonderful head this year, and you can tell that she's wonderful because she smiles every time she does something. So Jill, and also the deputy head is here, Mark Garfield. So if I could have Simon Marks, please.
Welcome to everybody. Councillor Kelly, who you met, and has been my colleague all along in this journey we've taken, welcome you to this sad but significant event, the unveiling of the plaque of remembrance to the Israeli athletes murdered at Munich in 1972 by Palestinian terrorists, 40 years ago in September.
And even though I was 8, I remember it vividly. And what sticks in my mind is that sense of sacrilege and a feeling of horror that the world's greatest sporting event should suffer such an attack, and that an attack should be mounted against people who've been training for what should, their minds, their bodies, training for what should have been the greatest event in their lives. And I think the world watched with a sense of numb disbelief as those events unfolded. Because sport should transcend spot politics. It should bring out the best in the human race. It should draw people together in admiration for achievement and for effort. And yet some people chose to profane that great celebration and to cut short the lives of 11 innocent athletes and a police officer. So it's entirely right this morning that we should remember those events. And today, let us hope that these Olympic Games that we are holding in London this week, 40 years later, are not only happy and peaceful, but also that they will be remembered in years to come as a time, as Martin has just said, as a time when people of all faiths and all religions, all backgrounds and all nationalities were able to put aside their differences and unite in a city that unites the world. And so it is in a spirit of not just commemoration, but of hope.
Gently. Put it right over there. And leave the flags to dry. It's okay, leave the flags to dry. Brought by Mr. Meyer Malling and Tom Wetherell, BEM, from the West Middlesex branch of the Norman Veterans Association, who wanted to be with us today. Would they come forward and lay their wreath? Thank you, gentlemen. And now the standard and wreath of the Countess Mountbatten's own Legion of Frontiersmen, who wish to be with us today, with Lieutenant Simon McElwain and Major Peter McMullen. Next, penultimately, Mr. Harold Newman, who represents the Monash or Jewish branch of the Royal British Legion, who will be accompanied by John Wallman to lay his wreath for him. Thank you. Mr. Yossi Romano, I will be introducing him to you soon, is laying a wreath from Israel. Thank you, yes. And unless any of our other speakers have brought wreaths, I don't think so, the last wreath will be laid by Chief Inspector Matt Scher of the Jewish Police Association. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please take your seats.
Ali, Ali,
The idea of remembrance, of a remembrance plaque, has been ignored by the International Olympic Committee, and at least the 9 host nations have never bothered to put one up. This is going to be the 10th Olympia that there is not going to be a plaque until today. There are plaques in Munich and in Israel. It has always been embarrassingly, and some would say insultingly, left to local Israeli consulates and embassies, and sometimes Jewish communities like us and their friends, that we have in the person that donated this building, donated the plaque, and has helped us do this reception in this room, to hold a remembrance service. With no permanent legacy to remember the massacre as a lesson for the future, that such a thing should never be allowed to happen again to any human being. And it is unbelievable that this has happened at the Olympics, and the message of the game, where the message of the game is brotherhood and cohesion. What is even more unacceptable is the IOC's refusal to honour the athletes with a minute's silence. Of all the hours of the games, what is just 1 minute? This goes against the spirit of the games and their own Article 6, to be found in their own fundamental principles of Olympism. The IOC is making a mockery of their ethos, of the ethos of their games, and their founder Pierre de Coubertin, who founded this game to bring together nations in peace and harmony through sports. We decided that enough is enough, and believe that the people of Israel is a strong and important ally of Britain economically, politically, militarily, and historically, with shared and civilized values, deserved better. And in our city of London, in our nation of Great Britain, where sits the mother of all parliaments, and a democracy like Israel, we will now want to put it right. And with the help of our generous donor, and I will repeat it over and over again, that without him, this would never have happened, who has allowed us to use this building to put the plaque. And now, a warm welcome to Mr. Ephraim Zinger, who is the head of the Israel Olympic Committee.
Start with thanks to thank Martin and Linda on behalf of the Israeli Olympic Committee and our athletes dedicated these medals to the Olympic victims. In 2004, in Greece, the first ever Israeli gold medal. And when our Olympic champion returned back home, the first thing that he did
it is actually quite an honor and a privilege for me to be here. And thank you, Linda and Martin, for asking. I came to this country in 1972 from the Seychelles, and I learned about the history of the people of Israel in a new way, not from the Bible, but in reality. And I've done a 10-day course in memorial function in Jerusalem, and I met people there who told us why we need to remember the things that we don't want to happen again, to remember how cruel humankind can be, never to be complacent, and always to be vigilant. There will always be false spots who will scheme and who will plot, and it is our duty to look out for those people. Each and every citizen, it is our duty, for we are our brothers and our sisters' keeper. There are those who will pick on a group of people because maybe they look different or they do something different and decide to hate them. And don't stop there and go further to actually carry out that hatred. And that must be stopped. If it takes a lifetime, it must be stopped. As we look forward to this Olympic here in London, of course, the flame passed through here yesterday, even yesterday. And there was an air of excitement around here. And we must keep this up. We must be positive while we're still being vigilant. And we have to enjoy the games and all the things that are happening around us. That's positive, that's good. And we give thanks. But we must always tell ourselves, these terrible things that have happened, it's happened 40 years ago, that's what we are saying today. But it's happening between
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now a privilege to invite the Reverend Alan Greenblatt, OBE, who is consultant to the Office of the Chief Rabbi.
Chief Rabbi has written a prayer to be read in all his synagogues next Shabbat. And he has allowed us today respect between faiths as As we pray for the peace of Israel, so we pray for the peace of the entire world. May this be your will. And let us say,
Amen.
Eric Pickles has been supportive of this, right, like Boris, right from the beginning, and I am really honoured to have you here. Thank you.
40 years on, the horror of what happened in Munich has not and can never be forgotten. The Munich Games should have been so different. It was, after all, dubbed the plaque in memory of families who have suffered an unimaginable loss, members of our Olympic family. Let me offer this consolation to all our communities. We will never forget. We will never
Our next speaker is a remarkable person who I've known for many years. He survived the Holocaust, death camps, labour camps, death marches. He came to Britain in 1945.
And had watched with pride and deep emotion the Israeli team receiving a tumultuous welcoming applause by the 80,000 spectators. The next few days, I spent a lot of time with them at different venues and receptions, and sharing in the excitement and euphoria of the games. The last time I saw 5 of them was early in the morning of Tuesday the 5th of September, after the completion of the weightlifting competition, only to be awakened a few hours later by a friend of mine informing me that the Israeli team was being held hostage at the Olympic Village. I was stunned, as were most of the officials, competitors, the media and the public. For the next few hours, discussion centered on whether the Olympic Games should be ended and postponed.
My name is Yossi Romano, and I was named after my uncle Yosef Romano. He was one of the 11 Israeli athletes that were murdered by terrorists in the 1972 Olympic Games in Munich. This memorial event here in London, not far from the Olympic venues, is very significant to me, and along with the other memorial events, symbolize an achievement in the long battle that the family had to undertake in order to get official international commemoration for their loved ones. The fact that the International Olympic Committee finally recognized that the 1972 terror attack, the fact that the International Olympic Committee finally recognized that the 1972 terror attack is part of the Olympic Games history, and their decision to mention the victims and have a commemoration event is significant. I would like to pay special thanks to the people who made this event today possible, Councillor Lindia M. Kelly and Mr. Martin Sugarman, Rona and the Jewish community of Acting. Thank you very much.